Dan Delmar in for Elias. Let's nerd out on nuclear energy now. Is it part of Quebec's future? I think it has to be. Faced with increasing demand and the necessary to have a net zero grid by 2035, the only way we get there, I think, is with nuclear. So says the CEO of Hydro-Quebec. At least he's mulling the reopening of the Gentil 2 reactor in Trois-Rivières. Cost about $3 billion. I think it's a good investment. Let's speak to someone in charge of the reactors themselves. It's called CANDU reactor. People are obsessed with the CANDU reactor all over the world. The American activists I've spoken to just can't stop talking about Canada's nuclear technology. Why aren't we using it more ourselves? Carlos Lorencez is with CANDU, the Director of Nuclear Safety and Environmental Affairs. Mr. Lorencez, hello.
Hello, good morning, Dan.
So glad that you're joining me because, as I mentioned, this is something that I think we have to talk about a bit more and certainly learn about a little bit more. Can you explain just briefly the history of the CANDU reactor and why it's so widely appreciated around the world?
Certainly. Canada came up with a unique design for a nuclear power after the Second World War. And our design is unique in many senses. We use heavy water and natural uranium, opposite to other designs in which they use enriched uranium and light water. The differences are significant, and in general, we believe that our CANDU reactors are much safer than anyone else because we design them in such a way that is super redundant, the safety mechanisms, and is reasonably cheap to operate them, both safe and cheap. Combination is good.
In Europe, there's a lot of resistance to nuclear power. Of course, we all know the case of Germany. They closed down, and now they're having some trouble getting back on the net zero track. But that I guess superstition seeps its way across the Atlantic as well. And right away, we're already seeing some environmental groups, not all, just some, including Greenpeace, saying that that nuclear is really bad for North America. How do you overcome that fear of meltdowns or accidents or environmental disaster?
Yes, it's true that they have had a couple of 3 accidents that are very well known, and we have learned from each of them. We expect to have none. Of course, we don't want to have any, but we think that in the future we are looking ahead with the population growth, with the industry growth, with the decarbonization needed to ensure that we have minimum impact on climate change. We need more power. And it has been demonstrated by a few papers already that solar, wind, and hydro cannot do it all by themselves. We need nuclear to add to the mix. We are talking of 4 technologies in reality, Dan, that are needed to ensure that we meet our goals: solar, wind, hydro, and nuclear.
Is it physically possible to meet our goals by 2035 without nuclear?
Many papers now demonstrate that no, that is not possible. And the issue is that we need base load that is dispatchable, that whenever you need more, you just move the controller. When you need less, you move the controller. For the cases of solar and wind, they are intermittent. And if you want to make them dispatchable, you need huge storage, batteries, because otherwise it will be difficult to ensure that the power to the industry is there when it's needed. In the case of hydro, well, not everybody has rivers, so Quebec is lucky in many senses, but not everybody is. So a combination of the 4 technologies is needed to ensure that we meet our goals. So nuclear is indispensable.
How many CANDU reactors are operational now around the world, and how many over history have melted down or had an incident in that direction?
Yes, well, in Pickering we have 6. In Darlington Station we have 4. In Bruce Power we have 8. In Korea we have 3 operating. In China we have 2. In Argentina we have 1. And in Romania we have 2. India and Pakistan have something similar, but they are not really called CANDU reactors. None of the CANDU reactors has ever undergone a meltdown. The closest I could say that it has been to a close call will be that some pressure tube in Pickering broke about 4 years ago, and we understood the reasons because it was a new type of reactor, and we have addressed those issues. So none has happened ever since. But it wasn't an accident. It was just a major spill.
So when you have an energy power source that is that safe and efficient historically, what is your job like in safety and environmental affairs when you reach out to environmental groups to try to convince them that nuclear is the way to go? I mean, the resistance I'm getting seems like a lot of fear, but I'm not seeing a lot of specific concerns.
Certainly, is the fear. Nuclear was born with a bomb. And that, of course, brings fears to everybody. The pictures of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are present in our minds. The pictures of the accidents in Chernobyl, in 3 Mile Island, and in Japan, in Fukushima, are also present to us. But we understand the reasons. We understand how to avoid them, and we have been moving forward ever since. So yes, there have been accidents, but the technology itself produces vast amounts of energy, electric power in general, that are indispensable with minimum impact to the environment. Some people say that solar and wind are very green, and yes, they are green, but they are green only in certain parts of the life cycle, because everything that we own, Dan, your phones, your cars, your house, any industry goes from the mining part, the processing part, the manufacturing part, and which all of them pollute. And once you have your item, a solar panel or a wind turbine, well, yeah, in that process in which it operates, that is kind of green. But after that, when it's not efficient anymore, you have to dispose of them, and all that part is not green either, right? So every single item that we own goes through the same life cycle. So yes, they are green in this small portion, but in general, everything that we do pollutes the air. We want to ensure that the pollution is the lowest with nuclear because it produces vast amounts of energy and a very comparable cost.
We're with Carlos Lorencez from CANDU, Director of Nuclear Safety and Environmental Affairs. That CANDU reactor, built in Canada, very popular around the world. So I have a couple more questions for him. And on the cynic side, Mr. Lorencez, a lot of people are saying, well, there's the waste issue, the byproduct of these reactors, the spent rods, fuel rods, for instance. In the States, there was some fear about that. They were trying to put nuclear waste, I believe, into a mountain in Nevada. What is your take on the waste issue and how we can prevent some incidents there?
Thank you, Dan. Certainly, it produces waste, like everything else that we said, right? But waste is a very significant issue that we address. We have a solution for it, and besides waste, we also produce radioisotopes that have saved countless numbers of lives, right? So we need to ensure too that byproducts, important radioisotopes and waste are always present in our mind. We have a solution for that. We don't see the waste as a problem. We see the waste as an opportunity. Of all the fuel that we have used, a high percentage can be reused. So we are looking at new technologies to do that. NB Power, New Brunswick Power, for example, is looking at new designs in which we can burn again the fuel used already in a CANDU reactor. So there are solutions to everything. Yes, if it probably imbues some fear in some people, but we have had no accident, no leakage. Everything is well contained and accounted for. All the fuel is kept safely, and it can be kept safe for hundreds of thousands of years. So we are looking into that, of course. We have new policies from the federal government. We are looking into the nuclear waste management organization to ensure that we all move in the right direction to protect the public and the environment, both of them.
Lastly, in terms of pop culture, back to Hiroshima, I mean, there's been such a powerful impact on our collective psyche, I think, when it comes to our fears over nuclear. I'm a proponent of nuclear energy, but I'm not immune from those fears as well. I have a question about Oppenheimer. First, did you see it? What did you think? And do you think that helps or harms the conversation about nuclear power?
It's a great movie. It's quite accurate, as a matter of fact. If you read his life and you watch the movie, you can see that, of course, there is some artistic freedom over there, but I think it was driven by a need, whether you like it or not, or whether you accept it or not. But I think understanding how these people undergo this transformation in themselves and moving towards items that are, have the potential to eliminate the population on Earth, then you start considering what are we doing with this, right? The main issue for me is that he opened the door to a new era in which we can produce vast amounts of energy for the public, and we can do it in a safe manner, clean, without major impact on the environment. I think lack of energy, lack of power to the people is a great limitation for the development of the society. Imagine if we could put some nuclear reactors in the north. The communities in the north could have clean water, could have greenhouses to grow their produces instead of bringing them from California. We could have better healthcare, communications, you name it, district heating, instead of burning fossils, more diesels. So I think that the nuclear energy is indispensable to achieve our goals, and it's indispensable to ensure the well-being of the society. And we know how to do it safely because we have been doing it for, say, 50 years in the civil area, and for more than that, since the inception of this new technology.
Well, I hope this conversation continues. Certainly it will in Quebec, given the indications by Michael Sabia and Carlos Lorencez, CANDU, and Director of Nuclear Safety and Environmental Affairs. Very much appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, Dan.
My pleasure.